Welcome to The Downside. I am here with my co-host, Dennis Daniels.
Dennis Daniels,
welcome. I
knew it was Dennis. Wait a second.
You said it with such confidence. You're like, and Dennis,
where
are you from?
You might as well. If you don't know a name, you got to just throw one out there.
Yeah.
No,
Is that how you
and hope it's close.
If I was alone with a stranger, I'd just go with it. You should have gone with it. You should have gone with it the whole time.
Well, no, I felt, you know what? I would be more inclined to go with it if we were one-on-one.
At a party and we never see each other again.
Yes, yeah, but I was like, I had felt the need to say my name, because you're here.
I want to get to know you, and I want to know who you really are. I'm glad you went with your real name.
We're joined today by a comedian, writer, host, Abbi Crutchfield. Welcome to The Downside.
Thanks. It's so nice to be here.
Remember, it's The Downside. Already off to a...
I could have been doing other things, but I wanted to shop down here at your local discount store. Instead, I thought I'd come up.
This is The Downside.
It was cold. 1, 2, was that too long of an intro?
No, perfect.
I don't want to give away your location or anything. I'm not going to give you coordinates, guys.
You're listening to The Downside.
The Downside.
With Gianmarco
Welcome
Soresi.
to The Downside. Did you hear that music, yeah?
No.
Oh, okay.
I could tell music was happening.
That's so funny because you're. Oh, well, let me make sure your thing
my
can
goodness.
hear.
I was talking as if they couldn't hear us.
Can you hear it now?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay, there you can go. It was a good song. It was funny because you were talking in a way where I was like, she doesn't hear the music.
I did, but I didn't think you could hear me. So I just chatted to you over as if it was like, this is happening off camera and now we're back on.
Oh, one day I'll have a producer on here. Are you okay, Russell? You're adjusting knobs? You're making me anxious.
No, I'm adjusting because it was my thing was a little loud, but it's good now.
Okay,
it's good.
Good. Well, good. Let's test it after we start the recording.
Listen, we're getting used to our voices right now and how loud we're all going to be, and it's good.
Welcome to The Downside. My name is Gianmarco Soresi, and for those of you just tuning in for the first time, which could be you have a big fan base.
Hey.
This is a podcast where we explore the negatives of life. We talk in a fun way, but about all the things we don't like. Any silver linings, we debunk them, and we just find why everyone's full of shit, except for those in the room today.
Yeah.
Well, where else can you go on the internet to find that?
Of
That's what I
course.
want to know.
It doesn't happen enough.
Positivity everywhere I look. It's about time we're keeping it real.
There's a lot of positivity.
Toxic positivity.
There's a lot of toxic positivity. That's
Well
why
said.
I did. That's why I did this podcast. I think there's a lot on the internet.
I'm probably inappropriately positive to most people too. Like,
Yeah.
It's politically incorrect how
I
upbeat
don't-
I can be.
I don't think it's if someone's genuinely positive in a real way. I don't think that is that. I think there's a lot of like posting like in this voice that is all kind of the same kind of positivity.
Sure. Where it's like, who are you trying to convince, us or yourself?
Yes.
That life is so great. Okay.
Yes, and there's a degree. I'm allergic to people making it. I think we all are trying to make our lives seem better online, and it's making everyone collectively more depressed because we're all feeling.
It was.
Jealous.
I genuinely got upset when there was the trend on Instagram of Bruno Mars plus Adele song. It's a mashup, and while they play it, a bunch of scenes of your life go in really fast motion. I don't even know how to edit video, so I'm mad already that I can't do one of these. I can't participate in the trend. But what bothered me is they look so awesome, and I was like, the whole vibe I got all throughout 2021 was how hard of a year it was.
Yeah.
It was.
It was.
In my experience too. But then I see these pictures. I'm like, how come no one talked about these happy moments?
Yeah.
There were
No,
so
'cause
many.
It was an illusion. Here's my theory is that back in the day, for pictures, you had to pose, right? You had to hold it for 30 minutes, and so everyone's picture was just like,
Right. They're tired.
But that's how they were feeling. Now, when you take a picture like this, you can smile real quickly and then go back to feeling like shit. So you look at the pictures and you go, wow, I was so happy. No, you were not. You were faking it for a brief moment.
Yeah.
If every picture was 30 minutes long, we would have no Instagram because none of it would be appealing.
I've said before, like holding the cheese, that is if you hold that for a whole day, that's what depression feels like.
Yes. That's what toxic positivity is.
Yeah.
There was a great point though in the 80s or 90s when you look at like family photos where you were like, no one's posing for these. Like, there's so many family photos from that time period where you're like, it's just like an ant like staring
They
at
couldn't
a
get it
wall.
together.
Like, I was like, why so many photos? Why do they exist? Like, it was like actually candid. Like
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
really captures what was happening in the moment there. It
Right.
was like, now looking back, you're like, it's probably more accurate reflection of what was actually
Yeah,
happening.
yeah.
than what
Imagine
we
the
do
first
now.
person who said, like, oh, just smile real big
Yeah.
right now. I'm like, why? For
You're
who?
giving me a real bad feeling through the camera. Can you just fake it for a second?
Yeah.
That's much better. You know what? You've touched on an interesting point, and I think I'm going to bring it all together here. In the old days, it took way too long to take a picture, so people were getting hungry and cranky.
Yeah.
So not their best was coming out. Today, you can take a picture in a millisecond, so you can capture the most precise moment and make it last forever. And then in the 80s, there was too much time, not enough time. You know, like we have not found the sweet spot of taking good pictures that tell the truth yet. I think.
Yeah, I think like a 10-second delay, and we'll see how you feel.
Yeah.
How you feel. So before we get to you, I have my complaint. I like to open with a little.
Please.
So I owed Tova, my girlfriend, a favor, and I had to go do a grocery shop for her. And it's very stressful. I don't know. And I thought, for me, she's used to be kosher, still holds on to it. But not just that. She's allergic to 10 different things: bananas, cantaloupe. I don't know if it's allergic or doesn't like it. I thought she was allergic to cashews, doesn't have cilantro.
No,
It's a lot of
that's
things.
tough.
So she gives me this list.
But she didn't say surprise me. She was specific.
There we go. She did at the end of. So I say I'll do this grocery trip. I get this text. I mean, it was a couple of gigabytes. It took a little bit to download how long this list was. I had to scroll and take screenshots. And
You should have copied and pasted and put it in your notes.
I took screenshot. Sure. Okay, it's too late. I already did it.
Though, Russ.
I've grocery shopped before, like an adult who has a list.
So she breaks it down in sections of the Trader Joe's. We go to the same Trader Joe's. But here's the stressful part. There's many stressful parts. First, this Trader Joe's, it's in the basement. There's no reception. So anytime there's something that I can't find, I cannot reach her.
Right.
And she's making things. So I don't know what's an important ingredient and what's something that can go.
Yeah,
And I
pressure's
swear,
on.
there were things on this list that Trader Joe's has never sold, will never sell, that is not available in America.
What? Give us an example.
She's
Okay.
thinking of Whole Foods.
I will find. There was coconut milk and coconut yogurt. None of these were at Trader Joe's.
They don't have coconut milk?
Not at this Trader Joe's, or things were sold out, and I don't know how important it is. But at the end, she said, wait, hold up, here it is. I do have the full list, right? Oh my God, this is how long it is. At the very end, she said, also, this is after 50 items, a surprise. She says, surprise me. I'll tell
She
you how,
thinks you have enough info ahead.
I'll tell you how I'm going to surprise you. Nothing you asked for is going to be in the bags. That's the surprise for you. And so, no, the thing that she said that I like, when I saw it, I was nutritional yeast. And I'm like, man, I don't know where the fuck is nutritional yeast? I don't even know what aisle that's in.
I don't know where that is either. I know I have some at home and I use it a lot, but I don't know where I found it. It snuck up on me.
You know, the grocery store not having service thing, though, does remind me, my grocery store doesn't have very good service either. And sometimes I'll have to Google what a produce thing looks like. Because sometimes it's not labeled great.
You mean the greens?
Like the greens.
The greens.
I'll be
It's
like,
insane.
I have to
They
Google,
never-
and then I'm like looking at the picture, and like sometimes the service doesn't come through, so it is hard to
Yes.
do.
You don't
And
go
you-
back there. You don't go
And
back
you know what
there.
happens when I'm looking? It happened to me yesterday. I was looking at the greens, and someone next to me says, "Is this another guy?"
No
This
idea.
is another guy
Yeah.
saying, "Is this
Just
cilantro?"
men
And I'm like,
Googling
dude,
photos.
I have no fucking idea.
It could be parsley. My hack for that is to smell it. Can you smell the difference between cilantro? It's a really unique smell. If it smells like you're in a Mexican restaurant, that's cilantro. If it's not, it's parsley.
There's more than that, though. Listen, if those are the only two things, sure. But there's 50
You're looking
different.
at alfalfa sprouts. You're looking at
Oh my God.
broccolini. You don't know what's going on.
And so then what she asked for the surprise, that's when it's as I go to the aisle, there you start seeing all the shit that I never buy. You know, it was like flowers. There was just green sprigs. I guess they're called sprigs. I don't know. And I'm like, who the fuck is buying this? And then there I am, and I'm like, it's me. Yeah. I'm the one buying. This is what this is for. Then I'm like, here's a surprise. Here's some green shit in a bag. I just spent some more money. I hope you enjoy this. This was a surprise. So
She's
it was.
like, what is it? You're like, exactly.
Tova is a picky eater. She would disagree with it, but she's wrong. She's a picky eater, and it's very tough. If I had no list,
Well, if she
I don't
has
know.
specific recipes, it's like that's
Sure.
what is on the list.
But
you
get
know?
this. So she had the list. This is how like paranoid I am about it. She had on the list cashews. I eat a lot of cashews. Tova has never eaten a cashew because she told me she doesn't like cashews.
Okay.
I thought it was a test. I thought Tova had added it to the list to see if I got it, and then she'd go, "You know nothing about me. Why would I want cashews?" But turns out there was some recipe that I guess she does like cashews.
she's like,
What
"I'll
is put into
try
the
it."
recipe? And I swear to God, I thought it was a test. And in my head, I said, "I'm gonna get them.
Gianmarco.
I'm gonna get these cashews." And if she says that was a test, I'm gonna take them because I like cashews.
Yeah, you can't lose.
Yeah.
But
have
I went through the whole thought process.
Yeah. I have another workaround.
Okay.
When you present the cashews that she may or may not want, you say, I know you don't typically eat these, but since they're on the list, I thought I would get them. But if you don't want them, I'll eat them. You know, like just to show her that you know where she's coming from, so she can't play that card of like, do you even get me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll do that. I'll do that. It's just, and maybe I bet she was.
Wait, did you bury in her though that she organized this by aisle?
Not
Like,
by aisle, by loose
Oh, I didn't
section.
hear that.
Loose section.
That's like she's done a lot of the work ahead of time of the planning and putting it in some sort of order for your dumb brain to like.
You're always
go.
the Tova apologist on this show.
She knows
Every time
you
Tova
and you
doesn't
know
like what I
her.
say on the podcast, she's like, even Russell agreed with me. And I'm like, yeah, that's what we have to do on the podcast. When we hit end recording, Russell's like,
I just
she's
feel
fucking.
like she planned a lot of meals and then like put it in order so you could like stumble through and hit things into your cart. So I feel like that's a
You
lot of
see
work.
me like,
Yeah.
could you, sight unseen, how long have you been married?
15. No, wait. I don't know. 09. Do the math.
09.
Yeah. 22 minus 9
13.
is. Okay, thank
13,
you. 13 years.
Could you, if you had to shop for him for a week,
Uh-huh.
no list, could you get everything he wants?
Yes, and he usually will do the online shopping because it's hard for me to get it together and take the list all the way to the store. So he'll just have it ordered. But he always gets a thing wrong. And I have had to learn to not seize on to the thing he got wrong because I have to say, wow, thanks for everything else. Because it's really mean to just be like, he does all the work and then I'm just like, and you forgot this. But it really does drive me crazy that like,
Tova, I want you to go back 30 seconds. Just play that one more time.
there's just always something, and it just happened 2 days ago. If I could just think of what it was, but it'll be something very much like, they didn't have this, so I got you this anyway, and it's like,
Yeah.
that's not what I asked for, and I hate that. Or here's what he did: he got rice Chex and Life cereal original flavor for like the 4th week in a row, and it goes uneaten. Like if he doesn't get to it, nobody eats it because my daughter doesn't like it and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what are these doing here again? You know,
Yeah, sure.
It's like inviting your friends you know I don't like.
Sure. Sure.
So so he's like, it's cereal, get over yourself. And I'm like, I only don't have that much room. It's in a small apartment. Suddenly it feels like he's moved in extra furniture. I'm like, I can't, what do I do with all these boxes?
Yeah.
All right. I think high anxiety is the alternate name of,
course.
this.
Yeah.
And Russ, what
This
about
show.
you? Could you, for Nicole, for a week? Do you got it locked?
It wouldn't be very good. It would. I mean, it would be fine for 1 week, but I think I'm pretty boring when I like plan for like things. I have like 4 or 5 things I can make, and so she does like a lot of the planning and stuff. But I do think there's a guy thing about
Like consistency.
We get trapped. Like something happens where we're in that store, and when we have the list, and you're like. I feel like I'm on a game show where I'm like trying to find the things, and there's like sometimes 1 or 2 things where you're like, I know it's here, but I can't find it. And then sometimes you just lie, and she knows that it's a lie. Like being like,
What kind
they
of
didn't
lie?
have that, and they're like, they didn't have milk, or like
The thing they
it's
always
whatever.
have.
They
Yeah.
didn't have the thing, but you'll just kind of like be like, no, I went, I got a manager, and like lie. Like I don't always do it, but sometimes I've done it because I've been so desperate of
That's
like
so
I want to
funny.
get it right, but it's something
I hear
happens where
you.
there's just one thing on the list that something.
And I gotta tell you, Trader Joe's, which I live near Trader Joe's, I go there now, and it is kind of a more basic grocery store. Like there's not a lot of options. They have their brand of things, a lot of prepared meals.
Right.
I went to a Whole Foods recently, and it's been a long time, and it was like too advanced for my brain. I couldn't make choices anymore. There's just so many different things. Trader Joe's, I get the same.
Yeah, they'll get
I try to
you
get one different item every time just to mix it up.
Yeah. Do you know what I like doing? I like going to a grocery store in any other city other than New York because of how big they are. It's like this.
Yeah.
Like you just have
The
a
cereal
cart
aisle alone.
and you're like the room. My grocery store, I can't go down the aisle. They have so many stuff for storage and things and stocking. It's like barely able to get down the aisle. So
And you can get like a cup of fruit in a non-New York, and it's not $12 for the little case of blueberries.
It is nice to get out of the town, and see how other people live. That's why they like it out there. They have space. They have space and options.
For our those listening, if you do like grocery store talk, we have a Patreon where we only talk about, we review grocery stores around the world. It is patreon.com/downside. You get 4 bonus episodes a month. This is new and we're growing. And so again, if you want to listen to more, it's patreon.com/downside. But you grew up in Indiana.
I did.
And yay or nay?
Oh, it's fine. It wasn't for me to do what I wanted to do, which is be an artist. Although there is an art community there. There's just like industry speaking, it was better to be in New York or LA. And I knew that right out of college. So I tried to get out of there. But the older I get, the more I'm mellowing because I have friends there that stayed there and settled down there and grew their lives. At first I was like, what are you doing? Get out.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, okay, it's nice. And then I have family there and I go back but there's a lot that needs to change for me to want to live there.
What would need to change other than industry stuff?
Well, it's a largely red state. And when I go back, I go to my progressive blue circles or whatever.
Sure.
But,
was your city progressive or was it where in Indiana were you?
It felt like it was, but Indianapolis, the capital city.
Okay. I'm doing Helium, Indianapolis.
Nice.
Oh, so please, I want to know more or what to avoid.
Well, no, I think you fit right in. It's a metropolitan city.
Oh, it is. Okay, good.
You look like a Republican. Yeah. No, I mean, I just mean, I don't know. There's something about the lens. I just don't like to disparage Indiana anymore, but I did have a lot of residual angst. And I do think, like I said, like there's a good fit for everybody and you know where you want to be.
You used to be more resentful.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I never say anything good about it on a podcast. I would be like, Indiana.
As you came on the downside, you're like, no, let's talk it up now.
But now it's time.
Let's talk about positive about
You caught me at a weird time in my life.
What made you change that wanting to not shit on it? It's just having... Is it having a family and being like, I see why?
Caring about people that stayed there.
Yeah.
And just being
Russell doesn't like it when I shit on his town. What is it called? Dunkin' Donuts?
Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts, upstate New York. No, it's called Bainbridge, New York. But no, I don't mind it when you should. I feel almost the same way what you're describing of like I spent a long time being like upstate. Blah,
yeah,
blah.
Is the problem them or is the problem that I'm
being like
fit there?
It's fine. I didn't like it, and that's fine. But
With me,
a lot of people I love still live there, and I don't want to like be like.
With my hometown, the problem is that them.
Is it?
Yes. And a lot of my family lives there, so I don't care about it at all.
Yeah.
So I'm very much poo-pooing my
Well, I'm in the middle of trying to write a joke about it. Like your hometown, going back to your hometown is like trying to reconnect with an old flame or an old boyfriend. Because it's like you've changed and they suck. So it's like,
sure.
You know what I mean? That's the punch. So I'm trying to think of what's stronger than that of like, I can't say you've changed and they haven't because that's very what people are expecting. But it is something like that of like, because you've changed, trying to go backwards in time and make that work isn't possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How your family's still there?
Yeah.
How long can you go back before you start going like, I got to get the fuck out of here?
No. Oh, I had a limit. I used to have a limit. It was like 4 days. My husband and I would always start fighting on day 4. Like we both have had it up to here. We were both from Indiana. His name's Luke Thayer. He's a comedian.
Yes.
And yeah, and it just starts to, for example, I used to get like car sick. So I'd have to drive everywhere to get anywhere. I'm like, what is with this town? Like you have to drive 20 minutes to get to anything, to eat. I used to say like, oh, people just go shopping for fun. Like Target, like you're talking about the stores being so big.
Yeah.
Although now I find it comforting to go into a Meijer, for example. It's like this giant superstore the size of a Sam's Club, but it looks like a Walmart inside.
You know what's so funny? I haven't been to a Meijer, I haven't been to a Sam's Club, and I have never been to like a real Walmart.
Okay. I have no other point of reference for you.
No, it's so interesting. I've
You've
never
been
really
to a Walmart?
There was none really in Potomac, Maryland. I want to go.
Rich.
I want to go.
Look at your privilege. Never been to a Walmart.
Listen,
Then you've never been in an Aldi. I'm just going to start listing chains you've
which
never
one
heard
was
of.
Aldi's? I know Aldi's.
Is a small grocery store.
I think I've been to an Aldi's, but they're here in New York, right?
We have them? I don't know. I only see them when I go back.
I saw someone recently, and they showed me their pants was from Walmart, and I want to go clothes shopping at Walmart.
Okay.
Well, we do have a Kmart in New York,
Yeah.
I realized. So
Yeah.
They're not the same kind of store at all, but they are old school department stores from the 80s, so...
But
they have the same vibe.
Your husband's from Indiana. Was he Indianapolis as well?
Yeah.
Did you know each other as high schoolers?
No. And I kept looking through old photos to see if he'd be in the background of like a zoo field trip or something. But no, we never crossed paths until after school. We met at an open mic at Crackers, which that one is closed now. In
Crackers is
Crackers
where?
Comedy Club is in Indianapolis.
Oh.
I believe they have a what do you call it? A store open?
A store?
Club. They've got a club, but they used to have a couple. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So the one that we met in is gone. So I often just think it's gone, but it's
Crackers. I don't know if that name would... Is that still around? It's called Crackers.
The fact that Crackers is still in Indiana should say a lot to you about why I don't want to be there. That's the tip of the iceberg. But yeah.
Was it quite... I mean, I imagine it's quite white.
Yeah, I call it homogenous, but it's like, it's not just that there's a predominant, like there's a race there that you see all the time, in certain sections, but there's also just like a vibe, a hairstyle, a vernacular, an accent that you just can't get away from there, which I guess is, it's region specific.
Are there any Indianapolis words, things that you had to get rid
You
of?
just take the G off of things. So if if it's just me and Luke, I get real twangy and I'm just like, I'm going there instead of I'm going there.
Oh, sure.
That's all. That's mainly it.
Do you think you and Luke connected partially because you're from a similar place?
Yeah. We have a lot in common. It's kind of, that's what, I joke that it like kind of ruined the pandemic for us because we were really in sync and then it was like, there's nothing left to learn about each other. Now we just have to know too much. Like the sound of your chewing pattern, like I've memorized it, so I can't have meals with you anymore. It was that. It was just like...
Wow.
It's like, not this show again.
Is he back on the road?
He's not. The reason I'm laughing is because right before this podcast, I was like, I always overshare. And this time he goes, just take your time. You don't have to answer questions right away. And I'm throwing him under the bus left and right.
No, you said his chewing's terrible. You're tired of learning about him.
He can't pick a cereal to save his life. There's nothing left to know.
You worry about oversharing.
Yeah. But this is the downside. I'm supposed to, right?
Of course. Oh, yes, please. I mean, that's the goal. The goal is for every guest to
likes
regret.
It when you
Shut
can
the
cut
fuck up.
anything out. He loves editing.
People-
he
Oh,
loves
do you
to do
really?
that.
No, my God. People
I
reach
hate
out.
when people don't
Favorite.
edit on podcasts, though. That's my pet peeve.
People reach out, and I'm always like nice. They're like, can you take out that thing? And I'm like, yeah, fuck you.
But I'm going to spend most of the episode talking about
What?
things I don't like, and then I'm going to regret all of it.
Because I heard you on another podcast.
Yeah.
You have a daughter.
Yes.
But you've always been, at least on the other podcast, you were like, you were conscientious about what you want to share about your daughter. I saw on social media you
I
put
just
a...
don't. Yeah, I
you
don't
put
share
a-
her face or her name on the internet.
Sure.
But
And was that...
nobody's trying to figure it out.
Are a lot of parents doing that these days? Or do you
I
see
don't know.
some parents and go like, all right, you're going to put these out there. Bunch of weirdos are going to be...
I just feel like different strokes for different folks. I think she'll love the internet the way I do, and she'll want to put her stamp on it the way I have. So I don't want to ruin it for her by being like, here, your friends can look up every single thing about you if they want to.
Yeah.
I assume all of her friends will have no interest in me and what I'm doing. So anything I've ever hashtagged about her will be archived and won't be findable.
I already have Instagram accounts for my potential kids. I would have loved nothing more. When I hit freshman year of high school, my dad said, here's an account. You already have 25,000 followers.
Look what I did for
This
you.
is good for you.
That'd be better than a college fund.
I worry that if I had a kid, I would have to have a conversation with myself. I feel like SAG-AFTRA will come knocking on my door and be like, you got to put this kid in the union because you are working him.
Yeah. Well, that's the other
too
thing.
much.
You're so in love with your kid, you only want to talk about them. So I knew I had to put a cap on how much I shared anyway. So I made that rule for myself. Just like, well, just don't, if you can't share a face, then you can't share the millions of photos you take every day.
I do worry I'd use my kid more as like a production assistant. Like he'd be holding the camera. You notice the angle would be from the floor.
It's a family business. Yeah, I can see that.
So let's see. You have a bulldog.
Yeah. So my daughter's 4. My dogs are a couple years older than that. They're about 6, and they are bulldog Shar-Pei mixes from the same litter, so they're brothers.
And you have a pit bull.
Yeah.
Are they close related to pit bull and a bulldog?
I don't think they're
English bulldog and pits. I don't think are related. They just have the word
there's
bull
in both words.
Sure, that's probably where I was like, well, these must be related.
But when you mix either, they have bull in the name, so people don't know if you're talking about a pit mix or a English bulldog mix.
And you had dogs during the pandemic, 2 dogs.
Yeah.
That's in a New York apartment.
Yeah, but we got out every day. They helped us walk, you know.
That's a good point.
And you can keep your distance because nobody wants to get COVID from a dog. At least not in 2020, they didn't.
And they're relatively compact, right? Like
yes,
bulldog? Yeah.
They're about 40 pounds.
Yeah.
Was there? I remember there was a little bit where it seemed like dogs could get COVID. Can they get COVID?
I think that's cats.
I don't know. I never learned. I just heard. Yeah, wasn't
I
there
think
an internet article about tigers? Yeah,
tigers have been getting COVID
Big-
once in a while.
I thought I read
cats.
about a dog
Yeah.
getting COVID, and it was one of those things where they were testing animals, and we couldn't get tests, and it was a real. That was a wild phase.
Yeah.
That's where we all really were like, no, humans first.
Yeah.
Even vegans were like, okay, I'd like the test first before the dog.
Yeah.
So you didn't go to college for the arts. I know you went to college for foreign service.
Yeah.
Which means what?
International relations. A lot of people that graduated with my degree ended up doing their master's in like international business, international law, or they worked for the foreign service, which is like a Peace Corps. It's like 2 years in a country they place you in.
What
and
kind
you're
of classes
an
does that
analyst
entail?
of some sort. You have to get proficiency in a language. I got proficiency in French and Italian.
You still fluent?
Si. Eh oui. But you also have to get like you have to take like history classes, art classes, government classes, economics classes. That's what I remember. And then at Georgetown, you have to do a religious course of some sort your freshman year.
Everyone at Georgetown.
Yes.
Well, my essentially my step grandfather, but he was a priest originally before he fell in love with my grandma, who was his secretary, and he was a dean of students at Georgetown.
Oh, that's nice. Small world.
Yeah, and then I guess what happened? He fell in love with his secretary, and the priesthood sent him to a mental asylum.
Oh dear.
Because they thought he was going to throw his whole life away, and I guess he wrote the Pope saying, "Can we make an exception?" Mm-hmm. Which is
Wait, he would still be able to be a priest and
he wanted to be a priest. And
priest rights movement. That's not bad.
Oh, that's so
at
funny.
least this is my dad's telling, so it's who knows. But my dad says he was excommunicated from the church.
Oh yeah.
That's harsh.
Yeah, it's crazy harsh.
That's your
they're like-
community.
Yeah,
your identity.
they're like a grown woman. Get out of here.
Right.
And
Following through on instincts.
but
Yuck.
he was so it still has that religious element to it. What did you study? Which religion?
Well, I think the general course that they make you take is called The Problem of God, and then you specifically like see the description of each that is offered. So the one I ended up taking was like a feminist theology course. And I remember there was some part about it that had to do with cults. So we got to spend like a good chunk on gurus and cults and how they form and what they're all about.
Did it feel like skeptical, or were they trying to indoctrinate?
Everything's a test in college to see if you'll fall for it. No, I think it was very removed, and the text we were studying was, I think, from the 80s. So it seemed it was like had been written a few decades earlier.
Yeah.
I don't think they were recruiting us for anything.
But when you graduated, did you already know you wanted to be a comedian or a performer?
Kind of, yeah, because I got to my senior year. I was not attending the business fairs. Like my friends were buying suits at Target, little blazers and pants. And it just made me like, ew, what are you doing? And they're like, I'm going to the career fair. And I said, what do you do there? And they go, you walk around, you meet booths, you present your resume. And I'm like, you have to write a resume? All of it sounded like 5 years ahead. I was like, we're in college. I'm sitting here holding pizza. I'm like, this is for 3 a.m. pizza, guys. What are you doing? But they're like, clock is ticking. You have to graduate. You have to think about what school you're going to go to next. And I was like, I'm not doing more school.
Yeah.
So I attended one dinner where we got to mingle with people who worked in the Foreign Service, and nobody's personality clicked with me. I was just like feeling like retreating into myself, like, oh my gosh, I don't look like any of these people. I don't talk like them. I'm not excited by what they're talking about. And one woman in particular, with big glasses and a bun sitting on top of her head, and she had like one of those like white button downs under a sweater.
Yeah.
She looked great, I guess. But for me, I was like, who is this lady? I like to wear sweatpants. And she was like, well, you don't really get to choose where you go. They just kind of send you. And that was it for me. Like when she had said that of like, I thought you could pick, I'm going to go to Paris. I'm going to go be foreign and study somewhere else. I'm going to serve other countries there. And she was like, I just thought, no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So that party that night.
Did you have any fear of like, oh no, they're going to send me?
I don't know where I thought they could send me. There was just too much of the world I didn't want to see.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you're like, Paris or bust. Paris or bust.
Yeah, you could name a really cool place, and I probably at that age I'd be like, no, thank you.
So you were doing comedy, but you were also doing dinner theater. Is this right?
Yeah. So I left college. I graduated, and then I wanted nothing to do with my degree, and so I went back to Indianapolis and attended the local open mic. Actually, I attended the local comedy club because on campus I had already auditioned for an improv group that was like a long-standing run there. It was
Is that the famous improv group?
GPIG, yeah, it's founded by I believe Mike Birbiglia, and then Nick Kroll.
And John Mulaney.
And then John Mulaney was there. And John Mulaney, I recall, I don't know if it's true, was among the people that was evaluating
I'm pretty
the
sure.
auditioning people, right? So I'm auditioning in front of John, but I didn't, he
Did
wasn't
you
John
audition in
Mulaney
front of
yet.
John?
Yeah. And
Did you work with him? Did you see him?
I did not get in. I did watch him. Like I watched him do stand up at a coffee shop on Avenue P or something. And I
Was
wanted
it really
to
good?
be-
I'm sorry, I'm such a fanboy. But like when you saw it, were you like, oh fuck?
Him and Jackie Novak were on the
really?
same show. And I remember being in awe of how brave they were. I was like, wow, this is so bold. I've never done this before. But I went back on campus to try to audition for GPIG, and then I didn't make the cut. And I was disappointed. And so I kind of scorched the earth and was like, improv is dead. It's stand-up, baby. And so I launched my own stand-up group. I was like,
A stand-up group. You're like, we're gonna improv.
It was called.
It's a stand-up group where we do heralds.
Yeah.
You were ahead of your time.
It was called SUPA, the Stand-Up Association. And it was very much in competition with GPIG. It was like, hey, look, if GPIG won't take you, SUPA will. I don't care who you are.
But it was a stand-up group.
Yes.
So
So,
you
that
just
I didn't compete with it. It was like, try my improv group or try the one everybody loves already. I thought I have no chance. So I offered a different product, which is stand-up. And to get people to come, I was in the career fair area, the one that I would avoid later for interviews. But to get people, there's like a group thing. Like it's like this is the time to promote the group. So I did stand-up. I wrote some stand-up for that. I got some people. Lance Weiss was among the comedians who joined that group.
God, so many comedians that I know.
And then we had about 3 meetings where we were like, what are we going to do? When are we going to do our show? Let's plan. I made cookies. Nothing would come of these meetings. It wasn't like a punch-up group. It was just people sitting around. Where are you from? And then by the end of the semester, people were like, we really have to do a show. And I'm like, great, guys. This is our chance. Let's do the show. The group went down from 20 to 4 people who actually agreed to do it.
Oh, my God.
Everybody else was like, I can't do it. I
They
don't want
just
to do
wanted
it.
to come, and get cookies.
So we performed, So we performed on campus once. So technically, I did stand up in the little career fair. I did stand up on campus once, but it didn't feel legit. So when I got back to Indianapolis, I went to a real comedy show to see how I was trying to take notes. How do I do this for real?
Yeah.
And then at the end of that night, they said, hey, if you want to do the open mic, sign up for the open mic. And my friend who went with me was like, you got to do the open mic. This is your chance. So that was the beginning of all of it. Then I would just attend the mic, see the comics rolling through, ask them how they got their career, where did they live to do that, that kind of thing.
I feel, did anyone come to that SUPA show? Like, was the show good?
The show was out on campus. It was It was the whole school, it felt like. I mean, there were plenty of people on the lawn that sat and watched, including my roommate who said, it was great. But it felt so nerve-wracking to have the masses. That's like doing a concert, essentially, if you've never performed before.
Yeah.
It was not the intimate setting I had hoped for, the coffee shop I had seen when I watched it.
Did you kill because it was friends and like...
Yeah, in my opinion, I did.
That's the thing.
I got laughs at everything I wrote.
When I did the Carolines class one summer in college. I did the Carolines Comedy Club class, and then I went back. I did an hour for like my friends.
That's exhausting.
I did an hour,
gosh,
and it was like
imagine.
I still have it. It was very dirty. It was every time I'd had sex up to that point was covered within that hour.
So it was
long.
like anecdotal and
It was
storytelling.
like, there was an act out of like, man, it's like. It was, I thought a girlfriend was squirting, but she was peeing on me, and like I was on the floor, like acting out, using my heels to rock back and forth.
Sounds like it can work.
That's how, and it crushed.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, it crushed because it was a friend telling you
Where
about
did
all
you
the
do
times.
it?
Like
Yeah.
it was at the small black box theater at the college.
Oh, okay.
And I was wearing basketball shorts, a wife beater, a rib tee, and socks, no shoes, because I was a theater kid, and that's how I used to dress up for classes. And I was
It
like,
sounds
this
like
is
a
authentic.
one-man show that's like young man gets laid, and then it's just you telling your sex stories.
Yeah.
in
This
your
is the one I think I said where I had I talked about these high school exes, and I said something terrible about one of them, and I didn't say anyone's name, but I described looking for the clitoris as looking for a pimple in a truck driver's armpit, and like a year later, like they found it online, and we're not happy.
Yeah.
And I was like, it wasn't about you; it was an amalgamation of every woman's clitoris.
Yeah.
So
and it's artistic. It's a visual. Yeah.
But when you went from Georgetown back to Indianapolis, I mean, did you like George? Did you like leaving Indianapolis? Did you feel like I'm more at home here I mean, Georgetown is probably closer
What
to
did
being
that
in New
feel
York.
like? I was homesick for sure.
Yeah.
Because what you know about when I'm comfortable, it's because I know the people around me. If I don't know people around me, it's like coming to a party and you're just like that ice layer you've got to break of, so I go straight to the food table. So at Georgetown, I just spent a lot of time, I remember, indoors playing online chess and just connecting with people through chess comments. But
wow.
I lost a lot of games. It wasn't like I was good, but that was exciting to me because it changed all the time and I met new strangers, and it was the creepy internet days when
Are you still at chess?
anybody could commit identity theft or
Yes.
come find you and murder you.
Yeah.
Like it was just that wild west of internet.
Which is this AOL days?
Was it AOL? No. Was it? That's a great question. I think it was. It was.
Yeah,
Because we had
yeah.
AOL chat and everything.
The AOL, those were the some of those groups I entered, those group chats I entered were fucked up.
Yeah,
for
you just
sure.
hope you're
I never
talking to
did
a
it
fellow
alone.
13-year-old, when you're in your chat room. But it's usually
I was too scared I would never do it alone. I would only do it like at sleepovers
With a
and
friend.
stuff.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
I was like, and I would like, in my mind, I was like, they will be in control of like the typing and stuff. Like it was too
forgot
scary
about
to
that.
me.
Yeah,
It is
involved,
scary. You're so right.
Yeah.
And my friend and I would see how far we could go with a stranger before it got too gross. And it would get gross and we'd giggle and then we'd shut off,
Yeah.
log out. But yeah, what a scary time.
I mean, it was chaos what we were allowed to do. I mean,
So true.
something's being weird here. No worries. So when was the murder mystery dinner theater in Indianapolis?
Yeah. After college, when I knew I didn't want to use my degree, or I didn't know how to use my degree, and I didn't want to continue my education, I came home and thought, I have to have a game plan because everyone in my siblings are professionals and they're good at what they do. So if I'm going to make arts and entertainment my career, I have to make it sound legit. I have to have a 4-year plan, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
So I started hitting the pavement, and at one time I did dinner theater, substitute teaching at my old high school. I was a waitress in a restaurant for 2 nights a week and a nightclub waitress on the weekends. I think that's it.
So you were rolling in money.
So yeah, I was saving up as fast as I could. It took me 1 year to save. Was the number really 10,000? I had like a number saved, like a big number saved. And it didn't last me long in New York, but
Of course.
because the
That's
rent
what you were
was
saving,
ridiculous.
and then once you hit that number, you were going to go to New York.
Yep. That
And-
was my deadline.
But was the dinner theater, was that for the money or was that for the love of the game? Did you like the
I
dinner theater?
loved dinner theater. It was so cool. I wanted it to be like what I had seen in, I think, sitcoms. Maybe Saved by the Bell has an episode about dinner theater where it's a murder mystery you have to solve. It was not like that. It was campy scripts with tons of puns, an opportunity to do impersonations of actual characters. One character, I was Columbo, essentially, but it wasn't by the name Columbo, but you had to have Columbo's mannerisms and a trench coat.
Which one's Columbo?
It's played by Peter Falk. He's a detective. He's like, oh, one more thing. Let me just ask you one more thing. He's always like hapless, and you have to wonder, does he really know what he's doing? And of course, he knows.
He does. He knows.
He gets you in the end.
Yeah.
You'll enjoy Columbo if you ever get into it.
Listen, I'd love murder mystery dinner theater. It sounds great to me. That sounds like a fun night for me.
Is it interactive or is it like on a stage?
It was interactive, and
Okay.
it was no music. There was no singing. So you didn't have to have real theater chops. You did have to know how to project. I did some like high school and college theater. But you had to memorize script. You worked with one other person. It was a 2-person show. You played up to 4 characters or 5 characters. And then the way this company did it was everybody sits at a big table. They get their soup first. They get their salad next. And then they get their main course. So in between all of those, you come back with new clues. You do your costume change while they're getting served their food. Once they're eating, you come back out in character. And they love it. They're just like, oh my God, who is this now? Who's this supposed to be? And you nudge them and you're like, what are you seeing, Betty? You know, and you get to do different voices. I loved it.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
And were they always good? Were there any bad shows? It
became fun if we forgot our lines. And had to improv out of it, or if we left a scene, they're getting their next meal and we forgot some plot point that was really important for them. So then we'd come back and rehash it in that new character, whoever we had to dress up as. We'd have to drop that clue.
Were there always enough people there to do it? Was there ever like a light show?
Never had a light show, but didn't need too many. I think it was 30 max or 40 max. So the audience was always small at a big table eating together. It was like 4 groups of families, some birthday parties. It never got rowdy. It was not the introduction to stand-up that New York City stand-up was.
Sure.
It was really folksy and fun.
I would be so into dinner theater, but dinner theater is like not doing it. I'm saying if I'm going to see a show,
Yeah.
I'd love to eat at the same time. I like to consolidate leisure time so I feel productive.
You could watch, but you also, we didn't get hecklers, but they did get little note cards of when they should speak up, because inevitably one of them would say, I saw the crook, and you'd have to tell them, hey, you don't come in until the end. And then they'd be real excited to be a participant, which I wish stand-up worked that way. You could just give a heckler a card and be like, when I point to you, then you have to talk. Because it would give them something to do instead of them being drunk and making up their whole thing. They want to mess up the show anyway.
Was it always the same person who killed them? Like, or did you mix
that's
it
what
up?
I don't remember. I don't think the audience ever got to be the killer. I think... you would unveil yourself as the killer at some point. They would have to guess right before the end, and whoever was closest to guessing the correct person got a prize.
But it was one of 2 of you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
but we played the
But they
detective,
played
the
multiple
victim.
characters.
Sure. So
The
it's you,
aunt.
the other you.
Yeah, yeah.
you. Yeah.
Because there was a show... There was an interactive show in DC called Sheer Madness.
Yes, I love Sheer Madness.
I took 2 high school dates. I took them to Sheer Madness.
That's great.
Where
That was
Loved it
your
because
move.
it changed each
That
time,
was
right?
your move.
Well, it changed each time. Like you voted who was the killer.
Yeah.
But like the script, obviously, like I think accidentally leaned one way, so both times it was the same.
Oh,
It
interesting.
was the same person.
I wonder what determines then how it changes, because I definitely know that
I think
can
people
change.
vote. It's just that the way that they acted it, everyone was like, "Well, it was that guy," and all the other actors like, "Fuck, okay, it's him again." Did you ever do a dinner theater?
No, I didn't. I did the closest. We did the interactive show that we did.
we did an interactive off-Broadway show. And
I did
that
do
sounds
this
great.
thing in
No.
Oh no.
Okay, if you want to go there.
No, that was not. I
it
mean,
was called That Bachelorette Show. We've burned it to the ground.
yeah.
And it was a...
It was a learning experience.
Yes, of what not to do ever with your life.
Gianmarco played like a Jersey Shore, like
It was like a parody of Bachelor Show, but it was an example of like it was a theater piece, but it really was like a nightclub where they're just gouging people for these overpriced drinks, and then occasionally we put on. It's a little
do a
story,
dance,
and we do a dance, and then we're supposed to like lobby people for votes. Man, the idea of lobbying
it was a lot of,
people
like-
for votes.
That's
there was a
exhausting.
lot of drunk bachelorette parties that were
Right.
were the audience members, and so
That was the goal. Like
They-
at a comedy show like that's like, okay, there's a bachelorette party. Let's hope we get okay.
Yeah.
That was the goal.
that was the goal,
main.
and it was like I couldn't, you couldn't help but see how disappointed they were in this experience, how much money they spent to then
I
be
think
like,
some people had fun.
no, for sure, some people did have fun.
They got handsy. There was one woman who got where I was like, oh, this is my line.
Yeah.
That has been crossed.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Just the butt grabbing. And then one of them said to me,
Sorry.
I wore a tank top the whole thing, and someone said my character's name was Giovanni. And yeah. And one woman was like, Giovanni, having a lot of spaghetti recently, I see. Something about my stomach. And
Shame.
just no one had ever that outright said something about like my stomach, and I felt really pissed off.
Oh, you should have heard.
I think I told them to go fuck themselves. What did they say to you? Well, you were wearing a T-shirt that said
chubby guys something.
So you didn't write the script or create the character names?
Well, you would have thought we had like this development phase of this thing was like we're all in the room for months improvising and
like my stand-up
crafting.
group.
We're coming up with the character's name. Like I named my character, but then it's just like he's this fat guy in Hawaiian shirt, like, and it was like the guy that's not supposed to be one of the bachelors was my thing.
Okay.
And it was like 90% of people were lovely because they were like the underdog. Let's root for him. Let's blah 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 blah. But 10% would be like, I don't want to talk to you. And I'd be like, okay. Like, it was like the sweetest, like quiet, like I wasn't like someone,
I was aggressive.
you were
I was
like
going
up
around
and grinding.
Yeah.
I would just be like waving and they'd be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like the one, that I had to have told this before, but the one woman said to me, she said, I don't want to talk to you. Why don't you go find a fat girl to talk to?
Awful.
She said that, and I said, I thought I was.
Oh dear.
I was so proud of that in the moment. But it was like weird things like that where it would be like really fine and people would be nice humans, and then once in a while you'd be like,
It must have something to do with you being so good in character that they just kind of want to play along, but they don't know how to play along.
they don't know how to play.
yeah, that's
you
what
know.
it was. You were so good.
I was so good. But it was funny. It was funny
undeniably good.
As the run went on, it was funny because there'd be just a dance, like music would be playing, and people would be, you're supposed to be interacting. And as that run went on, I would go backstage, wherever we were all hanging out, and I would be like, everyone would be there for so long. People were just hiding backstage, like not wanting to interact.
Just let them drink and eat.
Yeah. Oh.
That's tough. That reminds me of, the hardest part I think I remember about dinner theater was playing to this group of adults that brought a 13-year-old or something. Because I was fresh out of college. I still felt like, I'm one of you. I'm a kid, right? Like we're cool kids.
Yeah.
And he was just like, please don't talk to me, old scary lady. And I was just like, I feel like a loser for a second.
Yeah.
This kid's not into it. But I mean, I sold it and I just ignored him the rest of the time.
The worst thing, though, I did have one other job, though, was interactive. That was like 2 or 3 years ago here, just for like a month or two. It was like this, like, basically this like puzzle, like it's like actors are throughout the city and like it's a scavenger hunt type thing. And so each place they go, the group goes, there's like an actor to give them the next clue kind of thing.
Right.
It was awful because most people were stationed at like a nice old bar or like this thing. I was stationed at the Brooklyn Bridge.
Oh, no.
Rain or
I
shine.
knew you were going to say that. Outdoors.
Rain or shine, a Brooklyn Bridge, crazy man in a costume, just being like, just sitting there with a box, like hoping the bench is free that day and it's not that busy, and then looking for a group of people. I was so embarrassed. I hated it so much.
That's what we should talk about. Embarrassing jobs,
Yeah.
or tough ones.
Well, you did a lot of jobs all at once. So say that one more time. You were...
I was a substitute teacher at my old high school, and then during the day, and then I did dinner theater at night on, I think, Fridays, and then Saturdays and Sundays I did the nightclub, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays I did the restaurant, but I kept asking for a certain day off to do the mic. So I was like, let me have Wednesdays and Thursdays so I can do the mic on Tuesday. And they fired me. And the reasoning was, like, you kept asking for the same day off. And I was like, yeah, but it was for comedy. And I was like, Barbara always asks for Thursdays off. And he goes, she has kids. So it was just like, you're a twerp and you should do whatever job we give you.
Yeah.
But I still cried in front of him. I was like, you're firing me. And like the tears. And he didn't. He just told me not to come in. I was in the restaurant and I was like, "Hi, how are you?" And he goes, "Actually, hey, how you doing? We gotta let you go. You're taking the same day off every week." And I was like, "Yeah, it's for my open mic." And he's like, you can't do that. You got no reason to do that. And I was just like, well, she takes her day off. He's like, well, she's got kids and you don't. I was
And
like,
you just cried. Oh my God.
Are you really firing me? I did. I said, are you really firing me? And he goes, yeah. And I just remember feeling tears. And then he either said, like, give me I have my apron. So he goes, I'll take that. So I had to take my apron off.
It's like a cop with a gun and a badge.
Put your badge, gun in your badge.
The knot's stuck. Can you help me get it off?
And that giant.
You take your pad of paper. Take your pad of paper.
What's that pad thing? It's a laminate thing that has the checkbook in it.
Yeah.
So we always had one of those with the pen inside. So yeah, I had to give him that. And then he just left, and I just stood there in the vestibule with the sunlight coming in. And then I drove home, and I got over it. But I was just like, if rejection always feels bad, even if it's of a job you're like not.
I don't know if I've
at.
ever been fired in my life. That would upset me.
Yeah.
You get let go, and it was gentle, I guess, in hindsight, but it didn't feel good. I was like, but one job I had that you reminded me of that was tough in New York City. My friend asked me if I wanted to be a princess at a birthday party, and Tiana was a princess, like the one black Disney princess they had.
What movie was that?
The Princess
Frog
and the Frog.
the frog and the something.
The one that nobody cares about because they didn't put enough love into
Frog
it.
into something.
The Princess
You
and
know
the
that
Frog,
Disney
I think.
classic.
Princess and the Frog.
I watched it and I was like, this is my least favorite Disney movie. So it was fun that, first of all, the kids don't know what. They're just like an audience that doesn't know, with stand-up too. They're just like, what do we do? So you have to give them something to do. The woman who invited me was a clown, a party clown, and she wanted me to help her out. And just like, the whole thing was fine, but the kids lost interest at some point, and I stayed in character, and I had high energy, and I think it was nice. But then at the end, watching my friend pack up her whole caboodle in a giant trunk and carry it to her car, I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't do this ever again.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't like humiliating. It just was like, yeah, all the adults were smirking, like, oh, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a princess, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, there is something where, because you feel bad on multiple layers whenever I've had that kind of thing. I feel bad that I'm judging this thing, kind of, but I do feel uncomfortable and I do feel embarrassed. And so it's like a weird thing where you're like, I'm not above it, but I don't like it.
You know, things where
I don't. I'm not
much.
above it, but I'm sitting next to it and it smells bad.
But this is lame, right?
it's just there's been a miscalculation, and part of you want to be like, you could just give me the money and I'll go home. Because I think we don't all have to suffer through this. Like it's.
Yeah, the kids aren't getting much out. It's not Disney World. No one's clamoring for a photo next to me.
Yes.
I'm not Snow White. I'm not instantly recognizable. And so it was just like, all right, kids. It felt like babysitting. I was like, everybody, look at me now. Princess Tiana's going to do this, and it wasn't like, do your catchphrase or I love you. The kids wanted a picture after it was all over. Like, anybody want a picture with me? And that
How
was
old
cute.
were the kids?
They were like, it felt like they were about 7, 6 to 8 because they were getting their faces painted.
If they had been 5, they would have loved it. I feel like when there's kids, it's tough to calculate.
It's
Are they
hard to
still in
say.
awe,
Yeah.
or are they like, how old's your daughter?
She's
now?
4 now.
She's 4 now. Yeah.
You're right. I honestly, and I didn't have a sense of kids at the time. I was in my 20s, so they could have been 4 or 5. In hindsight, I don't remember. None of the kids talked to me. I was just some weird grown up to them,
Yeah.
Have you given her a big birthday yet? Like a cool birthday?
No, we were going to try to do a cousin birthday in Indiana, but
I'm sorry. That sounds like the worst birthday I've ever heard in my entire life. A cousin birthday in Indiana?
You share it with all the cousins,
It's
all
like,
of
that's
you.
too many people. We can't have all the cousins.
yeah, I'm about to overshare again. Well, the thing is, we live in New York, and a lot of the family that is her age is in Indiana. So they're not coming out here anytime soon. It's just too much to think about to try to get anybody on a plane over to New York. So we do the trek out there. And I don't know, Luke, I think, just wants her to be able to connect with her cousins. He's like, he either says it's something I had as a kid I want her to have, or he said I never had it. And I can't remember which one it was. Did he always have cousins or did he never have cousins?
I think it's always good. I'm not super close with any of my cousins.
But that was
and
going to be the
regret it.
theme. And and it was over the holidays, right when Omicron hit.
So the theme is cousins.
It's cousins party
Family
in
and love
Indiana.
and wholesomeness. And
Each plate is one of your cousins' faces.
trust me, they were both disappointed when it couldn't happen. I'm not connected to my cousins anymore. So I was just like,
Oh my
They
God.
don't-
If I had a cousin birthday now, it'd be one guy from the army, one guy who has a weed company in
think
Seattle.
about your cousin party today.
I have one.
No one would speak. The whole party.
I have one cousin who on Facebook, all she does is post, does anyone know the CVS hours? Like, just like posting about like hours of things where I'm like, I can't imagine having the ability to type that sentence, but you can't type it into Google. Like, it's like always questions about the hours of things, of things being open. And it's just funny because that's all I get updates on her life is like, is this open?
The cousin birthday, she'd be like, where are these? Are these plates from CVS? What time
Which
did
one
you get
did you go
these?
to? Because I know their hours. Yeah. And so because Omicron was just spreading rapidly, we came back home and did a Zoom birthday instead. We thought it would be more responsible. But
You found the one birthday worse than the cousin birthday. A Zoom birthday.
Zoom cousin birthday. It was really beautiful, though. I mean, honestly, it was really nice for her to feel special.
Yeah.
How many
It's different
cousins are we
to have your
talking
own
about?
birthday. How many her age? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they start getting older. But under the tween age, then there's 6, 7, 8, 9,
If
10.
I was the 12-year-old cousin going to my 4-year-old niece's Zoom birthday,
Yeah.
I'd be like, Mom, please don't make me do this.
Well,
I go to Zoom school all day,
Yeah.
and I got to go to a
Yeah.
4-year-old Zoom.
I even poo-pooed Zoom birthdays. Like my friends who had kids, and they're like, sign in to my Zoom birthday. You know, I'd be in the middle of grocery shopping, show up and be like, happy birthday, sweetie. You know, and think it was such a lame thing. But when it's your own kid and you want them to feel special on their birthday, she dressed up. The theme was bunnies. So she wore bunny ears and I wore bunny ears, and she got all her bunny stuffed animals together. And some of the family wore bunny ears too, because they got the memo.
That's very beautiful.
So
Nice.
she loved it, and she kept talking. Like it was just like it was like a TV show for her. She was like, she could see herself, and she could like lead the convo, which she liked to do. So it ended up being bunny theme, but no theme before those. No.
What do you think about, I was talking with Tova the other day about how tough it is to raise a kid right now. There's not as much socializing. What do you think? Like, do you read? Like, I don't know if I was a parent, if I would like read a lot of shit about, like, we saw on TikTok, there was a trend for a while of like newborn babies who had only been around their parents and their dog. And they thought that the kid was like imitating the dog because they didn't have any babies to interact with.
Oh, wow.
Like, has it been tough? Have you
Yes.
been Zoom school? Are you worried?
I've had no point of reference. I didn't have kids before it, so I don't know. But I know that she came up in a time, like, went from her toddling years to I have full thoughts and I'm potty trained now in that era. And what that meant was like every single milestone was in closed spaces with a mask with regard to germs, having to teach her about like sickness earlier than I thought I would need to. Like, no, this is why we don't spread germs. And it's all been normal for her. But it's just been an extra added layer of stress to a time that I think for any parent is already stressful.
Yeah.
Like just adjusting. So the socialization thing is funny. Like she started preschool and they had all these COVID protocols and they're like, you know, we promise it'll be safe. So we sent her in, and every day she'd come back over the report of like, she's bit somebody, she's kicked somebody, she punched a teacher, and she does not do this at home. So
She punched the teacher.
she would do anything, mostly to the teachers, you know, she kicked and bit and punched a teacher before. And so they would be like, you know, is something going on at home? And I'm like, yeah, that. What is, you know, pretty much what you're describing. What do we do? Like I had to learn about disciplining, you know, like
So hard.
what do we do and what don't we do? And she wasn't used to other grown-ups telling her what to do. And so she would test them the way she tests me, you know, and at home, if you don't punch mommy and then you read a book, what's the right way to deal with this? And then you deal with it. But like, I was just feeling defeated. Like, is it because she's not interacted with people? And then like, I was so worried, is she going to get not bullied, but pushed out of the way? Like, it's just, she would push kids.
It's not like she would be doing the pushing.
Yeah.
You push her, you're going to get
And then
bit.
get pushed back, you know, and then not have a nice, gentle mom be like, this is why we don't do that. And this is, you know, what are you feeling right now? Let's process this, you know?
Yeah.
So, but the school ended up being fine. By week 2, she knew every kid's name. She had friends, people that she really liked to see. And the teachers were not mean, scary disciplinarians to her. But that first week was rough, like
It's
every
gotta
day.
be tough. I was not a kid with a lot of friends, and my mom definitely went through like a couple phases of like wanting me to make friends. But what do you do? How do you make someone make friends? How many? I'm curious because I'm trying to. I've been working on a bit about it. How many books on parenting did you read leading up to having a kid? Any?
Okay, I owned several, and I didn't finish any of them, but except one about sleep training. So yeah, what
The
to
last
expect when
chapter
you're
was
expecting.
how to stop your kid from biting their teacher. You're like, fuck, I should have read that.
I honestly put it on the teachers to figure out. I was like, you've seen this before, right? Like,
Right?
I totally don't know how to finish
That's why we
rearing
pay
her.
them so much.
Yeah.
And they were like, it'll be fine. Like, they wanted to make sure she wasn't having some kind of like dysregulation problems of like, you know, is she watching you guys fight every day or something? But they were, you know, and that's so embarrassing.
The way they must ask this must be very cautious. Like, does your husband bite you?
It is. It's like they were very tactful, but I could tell they were just like, this is the one we're having issues with, and we wonder why, you know. And I was just like, I don't know. Is she just naturally spicy? I don't know. And so the answer was she had not been used to sharing toys. She was not used to other people not being the focal point. So if other kids wanted to talk, she would just shut them up, and she'd be like, it's not your turn, it's my turn to talk, you know. And that was rude and annoying. And then she was not used to being disciplined by adults that weren't me, and dad. So she she just showed the worst of herself. It was just like, I hate this. And she would say that. She'd come home and be like, I hate school, don't make me go back there. I'm like, you're 3.5. Who says that? Like, I expected that. And she's 10 maybe, or 12, but geez.
Being an only child, I think you do. I had such a weird experience where, because my parents were divorced, I was an only child at my dad's house. And so, like, I was, king of the castle. And I would go to my mom's house where, like, my stepdad didn't give a fuck about me. And I had siblings. And it was just, like, it was very jarring. And I liked my dad so much more.
Yeah.
So I just, like, raising an only child, I think it would be such a tricky balance of just, like, because I don't think I would want to be a big discipliner. Because I don't, I certainly, my stepdad, he'd do like a hand slap, never to me, but to my siblings. And then I would never do that. But then I could see my kid being just like biting teachers. I could totally see my kid biting teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah, one book that's helpful, I don't know if anybody is writing this down, but how
We're
to
recording
listen. Okay. They don't need to. How to talk so little kids will listen. There's a famous book, How to Talk So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk. That woman's daughter wrote a book about toddlers, so age 2 to 7, how to talk to talk so little kids will listen. And it's been eye-opening.
What's like the thesis? Like, how are you supposed to talk?
The way you'd want to be talked to, essentially. Like if you're having a negative feeling, parents don't usually like to hear their kids say negative feelings. I hate school. I don't like that person. I don't want to eat peas again. So usually the inclination of a parent is to shut it down and be like, oh, come on. Peas are great for you. You'll lecture them, or you'll disagree right away and be like, well, if you eat macaroni, then you can if you eat these peas, you can eat your macaroni, like threats and all this stuff.
Yeah.
None of I was doing all of that, and none of it was working. It was just kind of like a cycle of just complain, me getting frustrated. So I don't want people, if I'm saying like I had a hard day at work, then be like, oh, come on.
Sure.
Buck up.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you go to work, then you can treat yourself to this. Be a good girl, So kind of hearing the feeling, listening, and identifying with it. Like, yeah, you don't like peas? They taste gross. They're mushy. The weird color's weird. It's the only green thing on your plate. Like you identify with what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Then they feel listened to, so they calm down. They're like, yeah. Then you can, there's a lot of different methods.
But then when do they eat the peas?
How to get them to do it. There's different tacts. I make a lot of things talk. That's one of the things. If you can make it playful. Pea's perspective is, oh man, there's a party in your tummy. I got to get in there. That works really well with her. She's like, come on in. They're having such a good time. Another one is, bet I could eat those peas before you can. Oh yeah. I beat you. And you're like, yeah, you beat me. Oh, you are good. You are good. And so
I think it would be shocking, like, how much this would work on adults as well. Like, I feel like when we talk about, like, I think about this all the time with the way that we tell people to get the vaccine, where I'm like, we're doing the approach of just like, you're an idiot. You're stupid. You're a murderer. I'm like, it's this kind of stuff where I'm like, the messaging needs to shift. I think Biden should be, I'm going to take all this vaccine for myself. Yeah. I'm going to take all these shots. I'm going to get another booster.
Only Democrats can have the shot now.
Yes.
I've heard that, yeah.
Someone made a TikTok. They said, if they had called, Pfizer the Trump vaccine and the Democrat vaccine, that they would all just get this one.
Yeah. Pick one or another.
And it's one of these things where, like, the the rational is the enemy of the getting things done. Like it's just, I think that book, Fauci needs to read that book.
Yeah, maybe. And I think one thing we're missing in that is you're not just trying to manipulate or trick, and you're not certainly want to expend all of your energy just to get something simple done. It's about like identifying with the feeling. So in the vaccinated case, if everybody's saying, well, we just don't know how it'll affect us in 40 years, it might help to identify with that feeling of fear or whatever. It's like, yeah, that is a scary thing to not know. And you got to weigh your consequences, instead of just,
yes,
not that I would.
There's a thing though with parents. What going back to the kid thing?
Sure.
We all probably all remember being a kid and being like, that is not a good answer to why I can't do this. Like like there is a thing of feeling not heard and being like, I know I'm not articulating this because I can't do it.
Yeah. And then you explode.
But you can't when you're not feeling heard. It very frustrating. So that's all they want. And you see it so often. Parents just shut it down without hearing.
I would say like, there's a polio vaccine already in you, and they're lonely. You want to get the other, he wants the two friends, get him a Johnson and a Johnson.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm not finished with the book yet. So there is a point where you have to get to a point where it's like, well, what if you wanted them to do it and you want to be a theater person all day? You don't want to just create voices or whatever. And it's about dealing with that negative feeling. It's like, no, this is unfair. And you have to be like, yes, I know.
I think I'm going to read this book. I got to tell you, I've been thinking, what book do I want to read? And this is the first time I'm like, yeah, these are good skills.
Yeah.
You're going to see me doing it with you. These other extra Patreon episodes are lonely. They want more for
You're going to
money.
notice how understanding he's becoming to you.
Yeah.
I'm non-confrontational.
All right, I love that. Well, let's move on to our next segment. Russell, I have forgotten to put in the sound cues, so again, I'm going to I rely on you to sing our next sound cue.
This has got to stop.
This has got to stop. Felt more aggressive than normal. Felt like you were taking something out on me. But this has got to stop. Abby, do you have anything that's got to stop?
It's got to stop. Ageism. I don't think anyone does ageism right.
I've been practicing ageism for a long time. Tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Here's what you're doing wrong. You're forgetting how it feels to be you at every age. Okay, so ageism always makes sense. Like even the age I am now, like a peer of mine said, older people should not vote. Like when you're past a certain age, 70 plus, you should not get to vote because you don't have a vested interest. You're not going to be on this planet long enough. It felt very... I don't know
John
if eugenics
Mulaney
is
had
the
a bit. It's like ordering for the table and then leaving or something.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard his bit, but it's not a bad idea, but it's just like, yeah, I get that from my perspective now at this age, but when I'm that age and I still feel like I have my mental faculties and I'm invested in this world and I've maybe dedicated my life to civil service or whatever, I haven't, then I would want my vote to count. Yeah. So just that kind of problem with it.
Well, okay, so because I think when I see an example of like, where it feels like, is ageism appropriate here? Where we look at so many of our politicians and they're so fucking old and they will be on TV and they'll have moments where you're like, it feels like you should be in a home and you're the leader of the free world.
Just
at home. Yeah. And their teeth are falling out. And they shit their pants.
Wait,
these are things that have happened in the last year.
I think you need to give like less about looks, more about like what they're saying. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Because you're just saying you don't want to see an old person on TV.
No. But I'm saying like if sure, but like it's gonna be tough to do legislation if you're shitting your pants. It's more about brain stuff. Where obviously it's complicated. People accuse Biden and Trump of both having brain issues, and frankly, they're of the age where they both might be. So, and sometimes it feels like a denial of death, and some of these people, you're like, So, I think that's why there is a certain degree of like, people feel like, is this appropriate ageism? So how do you feel in that example?
I just don't think we value... Well, first of all, the way we look at death is all wrong, and that's part of the problem. If you lead with it being something to be feared your whole life and not talked about, then it's always going to be anything that reminds us of it is going to turn us off, which is what wrinkles do and gray hair does to people. It makes them go, or like you're talking about, like losing control of your bowels. Or,
I'm starting to. I have grays. I get grays here. I'm balding a little. I start taking things. They both have made me very upset. Very upset.
Right, because I think subconsciously, or like on a certain level, you understand that this country, I don't know about everywhere in the world, does not value people as they get older. And so, but when you're talking about jobs and in politics and stuff, I think there should be a test every year of, mental faculties, and a demanding job like a president's role. I hear you're low on sleep. You're traveling all the time. You're like a celebrity, essentially. And you're getting carded here and there, and you're signing this and that. So truly, that is a job of a mentally and physically fit person, regardless of their age. So you should have to pass those tests. Do you? I hear that they talk about them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Listen, I think
do they really have tests for them? Okay, so they can be manipulated however. So anyway, there's that of the demands of a job. Just like, how they kick ballerinas out after they're 35 or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what really happens to their body. Are they really not capable of doing the job? Are they at risk to like ruin themselves forever? I don't really know.
Well, I just think like
wrestlers. Their bodies.
If you're in the front row, you can see the grays, and you paid a lot of money for those
such a
tickets.
turnoff.
Again, you're just like, this is why you have a podcast, because you're like, no one would look at your
forgive me.
decrepit
You're
old
right.
body.
You're right. Dance isn't a visual medium.
I'm just saying, like, if they can do the moves, I wouldn't call it. What does it matter? Their hair color.
Well, I think a little. But so
I don't know.
Has
to
it impacted?
answer
Is there
your
anything that you're feeling like it's impacted your life?
I think it's just impacted my perspective. I don't know that anyone's stopping me in this art form besides me, and because if I got a no that I didn't agree with, I would just work around it. Hello, I invented a stand-up comedy group that performed twice because I got rejected from an improv group. Like that's my nature, is just like, you made the wrong choice. I'm going to go over here now. But I think that, when I got pregnant, I hid it physically. Like I didn't talk about it online. I didn't tell any of my friends, and I wore giant shirts. And because I was waiting to see if a TV show would get picked up again. And I thought, if they think for some reason my physical body, my body's going to change, or they're going to have to work around maybe me being tired, then they won't be inclined to give me my job.
For sure.
So I sensed, potential discrimination around the corner. I didn't want to ever be that reason, or make them force their hand to do the wrong thing. I wanted them to decide if on ratings alone or whatever they wanted, if they would pick it up. So they ended up not picking it up, but it was after I had disclosed I was pregnant. So I never really got to know.
Do you feel like, I imagine women in on camera have to deal with this all the time. I mean, do you feel like other people in the arts or in front of the camera who like didn't tell until they had to? About
pregnancy or their age?
About
I still don't talk about my age specifically. Like birthdays are not fun to celebrate because of the stigma I put in my mind of because it's like once you say the number, then people then compare what you've been doing. Did you do enough? I don't know about people, but I say in my mind,
there was
did
a woman,
I do enough?
There was a woman who I believe she sued IMDb because they started listing under her bio the year she was born, and she said, "This is going to hurt my." She did mostly commercial work, I think, and she said it's going to hurt my commercial work, and she lost the case because it's tough to be like, don't say things, but it's but I understand the fear for sure.
Yeah, I do think there are consequences, but you can't buy into them, and I'm perpetuating it as long as I don't disclose like certain things about myself. But I really do feel like when it matters, I'll do it. Like my most recent on camera job was to host Up Early Tonight on Hulu, which is a late night talk show for parents. Yeah. So then it was important that I was a mom and I really could dig deep into everything about my home life and stuff. But if I hosted a show where I'm with a male co-host, we take off the wedding ring. Are they together? Who knows? Are they a sex symbol? Separate them. Now they look.
Did you do that?
Yeah. That's the unspoken rule of you don't need this, or wear your ring. Talk about your husband. Mention him by name. Like they're very specific. I had a job where they were like, the audition. We love you. Love your energy. Are you willing to dye your hair? And I was like, yeah, of course. And they're like, but the fact that they asked me, I was like, but why? Why do I have to? You know?
Yeah.
I've got a gray streak coming in, and if I like spread it apart, it's a fountain of gray. And I think that would be cool. There's a comedian on SNL who rocks gray hair. Melissa Villaseñor.
Yeah.
So that could just become a trend where you're not just dyeing it gray on purpose, but you're just letting your hair be, and people are still remembering, oh yeah, you're in your 30s or you're in your 40s, But I don't I don't know. Ageism, I think we all have it in us.
Of
Yeah.
course. I mean, truly. I mean,
sorry. I do think what you said though, about remembering how you felt at that is very important because it goes both. Sometimes as someone like I hate too when people my age are like rolling their eyes at like people in their 20s or like there is a thing that goes always you're like yes we're all doing but yeah
how capable you felt in your 20s.
Yes,
you had fully formed thoughts and feelings.
Yeah,
but yet now at this age you can look back at a 20-year-old and be like, whoa, what do you
I've heard
know?
people now be like,
You know
it's
they know
people
something.
saying like Gen Z is crazy. I'm like, what do you mean Gen Z is crazy? That's a huge swath of people you're talking about.
Yeah.
And they had a real rough college education. It was all on Zoom.
Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah, any of those wars between like it's like so boring because you're like it happens all the time, like literally.
Well, people still call sometimes people call Gen Z people like
Millennials,
and you're like, no, that's not. They're not millennials anymore.
Yeah.
That's just the word that you have
For
used
young
for like
people.
for liberals, for like
people who are in their
progressive,
40s now, 30s. It's
for
like,
people who don't get married at 22 and have kids. It's
Right.
very strange.
Right.
I've heard someone my age be like, "Oh, these millennials." I'm like, "You are a millennial. You're just talking about
And you're
Gen
like
Z
you're like
now."
at the early, you're the mid millennial.
Yeah.
You're not.
It doesn't stay that way. It's not just everyone's a millennial that's young forever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So fix the way we look at death, and also fix the caliber of like what. Just valuing youth and what it looks like, because then that gets you into plastic surgery, and then there's no win there. It's like you need surgery.
Sure.
Oh, you've had too much. That's just like.
Well, then there's all these celebrities that do get plastic surgery, but they have good surgeons, so you can't tell. And then you're just like, God, Paul Rudd has amazing genes. And you're like, no, that's impossible. It's impossible. Gravity of something happened.
Jared Leto's more impossible than Paul Rudd.
How old is he?
50.
50.
49 maybe, but 50 almost. And Paul Rudd's 50. But then what's the other guy? Scott on X-Men.
Scott.
The guy with the eyes, Cyclops.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
James
Scott.
Marsden has this thing. These guys take care of themselves. And Mario Lopez is looking good,
Yeah, Mario Lopez.
It's the idea that
He's
people...
looking younger than he did in Saved by the Bell.
It's the idea that people aren't allowed to age and that we critique it and we look at it with a fine-tooth comb and all that stuff. But anyway... I'm 47. There, I said it.
Yay! Wow!
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Thank you.
Well, let's go on to our final segment, Russell.
You gotta count your blessing. That's how it goes, right?
You better count
You better count.
blessings.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Good work, though. I'm blessed that you did that. That's very sweet. Do you have a blessing you want to share?
You go first.
Okay. I did write down one. We're recording this a little bit early. New Year's just happened not too long ago, and I'm doing a lot of gifts now. And my girlfriend has helped me get gifts for people. I did all the agents and people. I got them babkas. I got them Zabars. Sent them a babka.
Lovely.
Easy gift. It didn't kill me, but everyone has really been very receptive to it.
Way to go.
And I have to, for my co-host, it's a pretty basic gift, but I do want to give you your New Year's gift. So I figured, Nicole said you like this one.
Didn't you give me this when you came over for
I have a
Thanksgiving?
feeling you drank it already, knowing you, my friend. So
I'm doing a drier January. Thank you so much.
Well, when you get to February, you drink that up.
Okay, thank you.
And Happy New Year, buddy.
Oh, thank you.
That's so
Thank you. That's
sweet.
so sweet.
Yeah.
I don't have a blessing like that.
How could you not have a... I just gave you a blessing.
My blessing is
you going
this
to
Evan
return
Williams.
the
Thank you so much.
That's the right one, right?
This is the right one. Yeah,
And I want you to
better
know
than Jack Daniels.
that was there was a smaller one available.
There always is.
And I said,
you got the Big Daddy.
They brought the smaller one, and I said, no. How much is the bigger one?
Wow,
And I said,
wow,
okay,
wow,
what
wow.
about the one in between? And that's the one you got.
Well, this Evan Williams is my blessing. Thank you, Gianmarco. I really appreciate
And
that.
thank you to
Wait, what is
Nicole.
this? Just as for
For
being a New Year?
Yeah, it's just Christmas, New Year's, just a gift.
Gianmarco, I didn't know we were gonna do. I feel like okay. I'll get you something.
You've done,
I'm not gonna. It'll be a surprise. I like. This is very kind. This is very generous of you.
I know.
And I'm taken back. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
So your blessing was following through on giving gifts because it is not a habit you had.
Yeah, and it's just like I just feel crippled with like I don't know what these people want, and I never normally with like, especially like with Represent, like I've been to their offices back when we used to go to offices, and they'd have 100 bottles of wine, and so you're like, well, they don't need this, and a babka just felt like there happened to be a lot of Jews on my team.
Hey, nice.
Yeah.
And so they're babkas and then like candles for assistance. And she just helped me like kind of parse out my own stress. My mom returned every gift I ever got her. You know, when I was born, she asked the doctor for a receipt. And good, that works.
Yeah.
And so I think, I don't know if it's that, but I've always had an anxiety because of that. And Tova has helped me kind of just get something.
Cool. Great
Yeah.
job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tova.
Thank you. Thank you, Gianmarco.
And do you have a blessing to see us out?
Yeah. What was it? Oh, you know what it is? I finally got unstuck mentally, and I don't know where it came from, but I would collect Christmas cards, hang them up on a garland, and then when the time is done, I put them, or holiday cards, all of them, and put them in a scrapbook. I did that from 2006, and then 2010, I stopped. I didn't make the time that year, and the following year, I also didn't do it. So I started saving them in baggies. The baggies became a tote bag in my bedroom, and now my bedroom is just filled with totes from years, and it looks like the beginnings of a hoarder, and I ignore it. I can't see it anymore. So for whatever reason, I dug out the scrapbooks. I got some extra scrap sheets. I got glue. You know, I sat down. I cleared off the table. That's one of the things that always keeps me from doing it. Like, the table's not even clear. And I posted them in. And so I'm not, I just started it. And I don't know where that comes from. Like, how you get unstuck mentally and just decide you can do something someday. I have a feeling it's like a lot of little building blocks or whatever that lead to it. But similarly, I have a lot of these like reminders that I've stopped in my life. In 2013, I started a mural in my living room, and I stopped doing it, and it's been unfinished, and it's 2022 now. So I finally just decided to paint over it. It's like that whole, I need to finish this someday. Oh, it's not finished yet. Oh, I'm such a... So I'm like, okay. And now I've not looked back. Like I'm free. I am free of that.
Yeah.
That albatross, the burden that every day I have to look at when I come home is done.
And feel like even if it's a little bit of like, oh, I need to do that, or a little guilt, like I didn't finish that.
And how many years in a row does Luke say, just throw the book away, burn it? I don't care. Scrap Christmas cards. You don't look at these. And I'm like, it's a project and it's not done yet, you know? And so now I can burn the book because I finished it.
My wife throws cards out, like literally opens them up, looks at it, and then goes, do you want to look at this? And then if I say yes, she'll do this. And if I say no, she just throw like right into the trash. If there's a photo and a magnet, she'll put it on the thing for a few days. But like she literally, like if a birthday card, she'll like open it and it goes, she'll open it right above the trash and then just like throw it in right away. Like she's like, it's such a waste of she sends them too, but it's like this thing of like.
I keep them the whole year. My friend Lindsay, Elizabeth Hand, gave
me a nice note.
When I got the card, I looked at my fridge to hang it up. I was like, "Oh, there's the one from last year," and I was like,
Sweet.
"Finally, I can throw this one away.
This one's done now.
Here's this one."
Yeah, it's hard to let go. I think the catalyst was just empty, like deleting. What's the word when you throw something? Throwing away.
Yeah,
not deleting.
Deleting.
Throwing away my planner because I never filled it, and it just became backlogged of things. I was like, I gotta write down that I went to the fair with the zoo. Never mind.
Thank God you didn't fully say it. The moment I was like, I'm gonna bleep this. Fuck me.
You still have to bleep the first letter of her name.
Yeah.
Is that a serious request? There's a lot of Z's. Lot of Z names.
I named her Zebra, okay? I like zebras. It's a majestic creature.
Good.
Zebra.
Anyway. So I was like, I forgot to write this thing down that we did. And then the next day would go by. I forgot to write down that I did a workout. I forgot to write down that I gave the dogs a bath. And it's like, what do you need to write this for? I threw it away.
Yeah.
That seems like such a small thing. And
I
know
my neuroses
are on display.
Sometimes you just got to give up.
Yeah.
What do you guys need to let go before we get out of here? Is there something that's
a new segment.
years old?
What do you got to let go? Oh, that's good. I like that. Do you have something right?
I need to throw away books and stuff, and I'm trapped. My dad has thousands of books, and he truly has not finished one of them. And maybe there's a phase he read books, but like now he just starts books, and he'll talk about the book He'll talk about the book more than he's read the book.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many books there, and I have that same thing. My reading is so fucking terrible. I cannot seem to figure out a book I want to start. I'm always like, it's so I part of it for me, I need to get rid of, I should just get rid of all the books.
Mm-hmm.
I'm someone who I should have one book and I'm reading it, and if I stop it, okay, I have a book called A People's Guide to Capitalism, and it's like a book about communism. I thought it would be more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
It is quite academic, and it's
Yeah.
it's a little bit, it's above my
It's a lot to
intelligence.
chew.
Here it
Yeah.
is. This is a really good one. It's above my intelligence. And like part of me not reading this book is me admitting
That
that
you're-
I'm not smart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not up to task for this book.
Yeah.
I need more like how to explain capitalism to a toddler, a
Yeah.
little child. And I keep it, I bring it with me to travel, and it like, it hurts my back. It's by my bedside. I bring it to me when I go to my girlfriend's. I never read this book.
That speaks to me. I get that. Yeah.
Never read
You
this
hate
book.
it.
I want to be a leftist and I want to understand it all, and
But you don't want to read that book.
And it's really, that's something I have to let go. And as I'm saying it, I know I'm not going to. In fact, now I'm saying it right now in my head. I'm like, no, you know what? You know what I need to do is actually read it.
Because you know you can.
That's how it works in my brain.
It's also okay to decide you just don't like it. It's not enjoyable
Yeah.
to you, and that's enough of a reason to say, meh.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be an indictment on your character or your aptitude. It's just like not feeling it. I'll try this same subject in a different package.
I would agree, but I know I'd be lying.
Yeah, you have to come to that conclusion probably
I think when I'm in my 40s, Russell.
when you're exactly
Yes,
47 years
there
old.
is, there's a drawer in our house that has this pile of pennies and nickels that I, at one point, told Nicole 3 years ago that I liked putting the pennies and nickels in the little.
Wow.
I don't know why I said that. I maybe felt that way that day. Maybe I felt like I did like doing that. That seemed like a hobby I could do. And so once every 4 or 5 months, Nicole pulls out this bag of pennies, nickels, says, "Are you going to roll these? I thought you liked doing it. And are you going to do it?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'll do it this weekend." And I just never do it because if I'm being honest, I don't like putting those little pennies into the
Tedious.
little roll.
Yeah.
I mean, next time it's your birthday, and Nicole's like, "Don't worry, I'm going to plan the day for you." And you come out, and the table,
Paper
I know you
rolls.
like this, baby. He says it's your favorite thing to do.
This is classic sitcom.
I should just take it on the train and give it to the first homeless person. Like I should just. I
hope they go, I don't like doing this.
No, yeah, that's tedious.
Yeah.
I got a better use of my time.
I don't know. It's not even that much. It's not like it's going to be hundreds of dollars. It's like going to be like $23 if I do it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I don't know. So
Absolutely.
that's
a great one.
That's the thing where I'm like,
But now, are you going to do it?
I don't know. Maybe having this conversation, opening this door, maybe this will. I have to do something about it because it is bothering me. It's like I'm thinking about it too often.
We'll check on this next episode.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to do anything by then.
Anything you want to plug, Russell? This is coming out,
when is it
I
coming
think, in
out?
time for the February show.
What's the February show? Is February 11th?
February 11th.
February
our
11th.
sketch team, Uncle
Friday.
Function, has a show.
Yes.
At Asylum NYC.
You'll be there,
Exciting.
right, Gianmarco?
Yes, I will be.
Oh, great.
I mean, unless unless
you're
a
getting
comedy
fired?
club underneath a bridge in New Jersey wants me to headline for 2 people.
Okay. So yeah, February 11th,
February 11th,
Asylum NYC.
Asylum NYC. I'll give you a second to look, Abby.
Yeah,
Chicago.
happy Black History Month, everybody.
Yes.
Yes,
Forgot. We're in
I
February
was
now.
hoping you'd say something, Russell, but I
my bad,
I
my
did
bad.
want to, in lieu of any plug, say Happy Black History Month. And you can see me February 17th at Lincoln Lodge in Chicago. I will be there. February 17th, I'm going to be headlining. And if you're there, it would mean a lot for you to be there. And I have something in March. I'm not allowed to announce it yet, but I will soon. And I could be lying, but that's a cool way to make you feel like things are happening.
I don't think you're lying.
I can't announce it yet because it doesn't exist, but here it's coming.
And
Abby,
March is far enough away in February that if it doesn't pan out, we've forgotten
No one will care.
to check in and see what you're up to. You can watch me on Up Early Tonight on Hulu. You can follow me on Twitter at Curly Comedy if you want to just interact with me and see my jokes. You can go to curlycomedy.com to see where I will perform live in New York City. I don't have any travel plans right now, but since we're recording ahead of the actual air date, I can manifest what I hope will be going on.
Just pick clubs. Say, give the dates.
Check me out in a Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah.
I'm playing alongside Taye Diggs in a post-holiday classic. It's like Hallmark finally jumped on the bandwagon and decided to make holiday movies with people other than white people.
Yeah.
But they're still pairing up blacks only, you know, because they haven't quite got the memo. So check that out. It's called a Kwanzaa for Kathy.
Kwanzaa for Kathy.
It's a Kwanzaa for Kathy.
It's airing on Lifetime 4 a.m. this Saturday night.
I am not the titular character. Kathy's a white person, but you really only see her in. I'm the love interest they pair off with Taye Diggs. What else is going on for me? What happens in February? There's President's Day.
We don't have to list
I'm
the
in a
national
mattress.
holidays or anything.
I'm in a mattress commercial. My daughter is signed on to Disney, and you will finally see her face and hear her name. And then she will surpass me financially. But
and check out our next guest. Next week we got Josh Groban.
Yeah.
The week after that,
Someday we'll get him.
We have Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt on his apology tour. That's exciting.
What's he apologizing for right now?
We'll see.
Oh,
sure.
But he'll have to
we
stop by.
manifested that for you, Brad Pitt.
He's got to get in good with the young crowd again, so he's stopping by your podcast. So anyway, thanks for having me, and look for me all those places, guys.
Of course. And for those of you at home, again, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/downside for extra episodes. And remember, whether you're in your 40s, your 90s, or your 20s, you could die at any second. This is the Downside.
1, 2, 3. Downside.